Hello Finders crew, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be using the Ninja Creami once again to make 3 more recipes. They're even better than the last ones I made in the previous video, so stay tuned and let's dive into them. All right, it's time to make recipe number 4. We're going to go with something a little bit simple here. It's just a 2-ingredient recipe. We're going to use this chocolate protein shake from Fairlife. If you guys have never had these, they are awesome. They're 30 grams of protein and they're only 150 calories. They taste just like chocolate milk. They're so delicious. We drink these like almost every day. So that's gonna be ingredient number 1. I'm gonna just fill this almost all the way up with this Fairlife chocolate protein shake here. So let's get that poured in there. I'm just gonna use the whole thing if I can, which I believe I can. Yeah, there we go. Not quite at the max fill line, which is perfect, just 1 protein shake. And then we're gonna go in with 2 tablespoons of this PB2 with cocoa in it, so chocolate PB2. I'm basically looking for like a chocolate peanut butter ice cream basically. This is 50 calories and 4 grams of protein. So overall it's just 200 calories for this entire pint of ice cream that we're gonna make, and you'll see the results in 24 hours, but for now let's get in about 2 tablespoons of this PB2 with cocoa right here. For our next recipe, we're gonna make a chunky monkey. So for this, we're gonna throw a few ingredients into a blender first and then pour it into the Ninja Creami pint. So I'm gonna start off with just 2 bananas. We'll grab a blender cup here and I'm gonna open these bananas and throw them into the cup. Here's banana number 1. Maybe break it up a little bit to help it out in the blender first. Open banana number 2. Here we go, do the same thing. Break it into some pieces. And then next up is half a cup of whole milk. There we go. Next up, a half a cup of heavy whipping cream also. So I get that poured in here. I'll try not to spill it this one. Get that poured in the cup. And finally, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Get that poured into the blender mixer also. There we go. We'll get our blender ready, get the blade on this, and mix this up just a few times. It says basically just to pulse it a couple times so that it's mixed up a little bit, because obviously the cream is gonna do that anyways. But we'll just kind of pulse this a few times here and I'll show you the results. Let's take a look, see if those bananas are mixed up a little bit and everything else kind of blended together, and by the looks of it, I think so. I think it's pretty good here. So now the recipe says to taste this, see if it's sweet enough for you, and if not, add a little bit of maple syrup. So I'm gonna give this a try. You can also see that it's nice and blended now, which is exactly what I wanted. Have a small try on this. I would say for me, I definitely like my ice cream sweeter, so I'm gonna add a little bit of maple syrup into this, so let's grab that. All right, let's add a little bit of maple syrup into here. I'm gonna go for like maybe a teaspoon or 2. Maybe closer to a tablespoon, because I really like my ice cream nice and sweet, of course. We'll get this away and get this mixed up a little bit more. And I'm gonna get this poured into the pint here now. Hopefully it doesn't go past that fill line. Looks like the recipe was perfect, so that's awesome, just below that fill line. And then I will get this in the freezer and I'll be back in 24 hours to taste this one. For our final recipe, we're gonna make an apple pie ice cream. So to start off for this one, we're gonna take a little bit of softened cream cheese, throw it into a bowl, and then toss in 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. So there's 1 and a 2nd tablespoon. And then I'm just gonna combine these 2 ingredients into a little bit of a paste here. So I'm just gonna mix this up for about a minute or so until it gets nice and pasty and thick. Looking for kind of like a frosting consistency with this. So this is roughly what we're looking for with this one, kind of this frosting consistency in here. And now we'll move on to our liquids, so set this aside. Now I'm gonna grab a 2nd bowl for the liquids here and throw in half a cup of heavy cream for this one again. Here we go, half a cup of this heavy cream. Get that in there, so start. And then we're gonna go for about a 1/4 cup of whole milk. I've got a half cup measure here. I don't feel like dirtying another one, so I'm just gonna kind of eyeball this, about a 1/4 cup of whole milk. Get that poured in. And then a full cup of this apple pie filling into that mixture as well. So let me grab the half cup measuring cup again, and we'll kind of just eyeball this a little bit here. Go for it, maybe a little bit extra, but it's just over half a cup, and get a little bit more in there maybe. I think that'll be good. Maybe 1 more apple in there. Roughly a cup of this filling. And then I'm gonna use an immersion blender to blend this up. You could probably just use like a fork or a regular blender also, but I'm gonna go in with immersion blender. It'll be a little bit easier to kind of mash this up. So we'll just kind of turn this on for a few seconds, get this a little bit chopped up. All right, now I'm gonna pour a little bit of the liquid mixture into the solid kind of pasty cream cheese thing that we made earlier, just a little bit of the liquid at a time, and keep incorporating it as I go. So I'll take a small portion of this and get it kind of in there with some of the apple chunks also. That was probably good to start and get this incorporated in there. Just nice and mixed up. And then I'm basically just gonna continue this process with all the liquid until it's all one mixture, and then I'll be right back with you guys once I finish that. All right, I think this is now all nice and mixed up. We got some chunks in there, but I think the cream is gonna take care of that anyways. So we're gonna get this all cleaned off, get this folded up. Beautiful whisk right here. Gotta love this one. And then we'll get this tossed into a pint right here and into our freezer for the next 24 hours, and I'll be back with you afterwards. This is all poured into our next pint and ready to be frozen, so I'm gonna toss this in the freezer and we'll be back with you in 24 hours. It's been 24 hours, which means it's time to try our next batch of these Ninja Creamis. We're gonna go with the Chocolate Fairlife and PB2 here. Let's get this in the Creami, and once it's all mixed up, I'll be back to show you guys the results. This one is now ready for a taste test, so let's give it a shot. See how the consistency is, nice and thick. People always say this one is pretty similar to like a Wendy's Frosty, so I'm gonna see if that is true. Let's get a good bite there. Yep, so it's very Wendy's Frosty-like, but almost if they made like a chocolate peanut butter instead of their regular chocolate Wendy's Frosty. I'm actually not a huge fan of chocolate ice cream in general, but this is really good. I feel like with chocolate ice cream, normally it's like pretty bitter, but this kind of cuts that off because it is just that chocolate shake instead. I'm gonna give this one an 8 out of 10, but I think if you like chocolate ice cream, you could easily give this a 9 out of 10 yourself. Now it's time to mix the Chunky Monkey ice cream that we made. Once this one is mixed up, we have mix-ins for this one as well. I'll get to that in just a minute. For now, I'm gonna throw this one into the Creami, run it 2 or 3 times through that ice cream cycle, and I'll show you guys the results before I do the mix-ins. All right, just finished mixing this one up in the Creami about 3 times to get it to this consistency, which is exactly what I was looking for, and it actually created the hole in the middle also, which is gonna be perfect for those mix-ins. So let's get those added in there. We're gonna do chocolate chunks and walnuts in the middle of this one. So let me grab those. I got those ingredients already fully prepared here, and let's get them poured into the center. There we go. I'm just gonna hit them down a little bit with a spoon so they're nice and tight in there. Not that it matters too much, but might as well get them nicely in that hole. And then I'm gonna hit that mix-in setting on the Creami here, and we will get this going on its way, and I'll show you the results once those are mixed in. Our mix-ins are fully done. You can see it looks like there's a ton of chocolate and walnuts in there. I'm really excited for this one. This one definitely could be a winner out of all of them. So let's get a nice spoonful. Of course, our consistency check first, and as always, it is super, super thick. Let's get a nice bite here. I'm gonna make sure I get chocolate and walnuts and the ice cream all in one bite. That should be perfect. Let's give it a nice taste test here. So this one's really good. There's a few things I would change to make it a little bit better. Number one, I'd probably put like 1.5 or maybe even 1 banana in because the banana flavor is super, super strong. And number two, I think I put a few too many chocolate chunks because they're dark chocolate. It makes it a little bit too bitter for me. But overall, even with those small things, I'm still gonna give this one an 8.5 out of 10. Still absolutely delicious. And our final taste test, the apple pie Creami here. I'm gonna get this under the ice cream setting also, just like all the other ones. And again, I'll be back after I run this 2 to 3 times to show you guys the results before I mix in a special ingredient with this one as well. This one is now all mixed up also. It didn't create the hole in the middle this time. I don't know why that happens sometimes and not other times. So I'm gonna create the hole in the middle myself with a spoon here so that I can get our mix-in ingredient in this one. So just gonna try and create a little bit of a hole there. And for this one, we're gonna mix in some graham crackers. So I'm basically just gonna crush up probably about 1 graham cracker into a couple pieces in here and get that thrown into the center. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so I'm gonna break this up into a couple different pieces and just kind of shove it in like we've done with the other mix-ins. I don't think it matters too much how you actually get these in there as long as they're kind of in the center and fit in there. So that's kind of my goal. Looks like 1 graham cracker is gonna be perfect to fill kind of that hole in there. Perfect. And now we're gonna run this on our mix-in setting again, and I will show you guys the results once it's ready. All right, the mix-ins are all done with this one. Got those graham crackers mixed in nice and tight in there. Let's go ahead and give this one a taste test. So I'm gonna get a spoonful, of course, our quick consistency check, just like the other ones, exactly like we wanna see these when they come out of the Creami. Get a good bite there with graham crackers, and let's do a taste test. Oh yeah, this one tastes exactly like an apple pie, but blended into ice cream, which is obviously what we were going for with the ice cream here. It's honestly perfect. I don't have any suggestions of how to change this one. It's so good. This is easily the best recipe of all of them. I'm giving this one a 10 out of 10. If you guys have a Creami, you absolutely have to make this recipe right here. It was not too difficult and it's amazing. And that's my thoughts on all 3 of those recipes. Honestly, they were all really good in their own ways. It just depends on what you're craving. So get out there, go make those recipes. All of the links to the recipes are gonna be in the description down below, and a link to the Creami if you don't have one will be there as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Stay tuned for more Creami recipes.